What's happening, guys? Making one of my favorite trips of the day out to the mailbox. Why? Because I know my man Nick brought me a little something in the mail today. Let's check it out. You guys know what's coming today? Take a guess, comment below. Let's check it out. Whoa, got it here. We got a new microphone here from Deity we're gonna be checking out today. Super excited. Let's get in the studio, talk about what this guy comes with, get some samples, try this thing out and see how it does. All right, what's happening, guys? Back into the studio today. Like I said, Deity. We're looking at their Pocket Wireless. It's a new system by Deity. If you don't know who Deity is, they offer a ton of great microphone options for you. Everything from professional mics to on-camera mics to lav mics like we see here. They've got a whole bunch of great stuff. I've used a lot of their things in the past, and they do a great job with audio, because audio is so important when it comes to your video. So right off the bat, a big thank you to Deity for sending this out to me to try out and share with you guys. So we're gonna see how well it does here. So let's talk about what comes in the box. All right, let's talk about what is in the box. So first thing, everything comes in this cool little carrying case here, which is pretty sweet. It's got little pockets here to hold your cables, got two nice spots for the units themselves, as well as a spot for the lav mic, the windscreen, and another plug that comes with it. So that's great that it comes with a little package to carry it in, because if I'm putting it away, I don't want to just throw it in my bag. I want something nice to put it in. So that is pretty sweet. The next part we have here is the receiver. So this is going to go onto your camera. Has a nice little LED screen on it here. A few buttons on the side to mute it, to sync it, and adjust your input levels. Has an on-off button on here, which is pretty sweet. Then we've got the transmitter unit right here. Now this has a microphone built into it, which is pretty cool. So you can just use this as a microphone. We're going to test that out. But you can also plug in a lav mic, which is pretty sweet. Has a charging port on the bottom as well as an on-off button. So we're going to try out both the internal mic as well as the lav mic. It does come with its own lav mic, which is pretty sweet. Some of these systems do and some don't. So it's nice that Deity gives you a lav mic, and it looks like a pretty decent quality lav mic. So we'll test that out. You also get two different cables. You get one with a TRRS plug on it, so it can plug directly into your DSLR or camera or anything that uses that kind of plug. And then you've also got one that uses a USB-C connection in case you want to connect it to your computer or your phone or anything else that might use a USB-C connection. It does come with a charging cable in order to charge up your two units here. Now these two units do have internal batteries, so you can't swap out any batteries. You have to charge them up through the one USB cable. So it's nice that you get a USB cable, although I almost wish that you got two cables so that you could charge them both at the same time. Otherwise, you have to wait for one to charge before you switch them. It also comes with a little dead cat here. Now, this dead cat is going to pop right on your transmitter unit, right on the top here to help, screen any wind noise or other noise that you might get when you're using just this and not the actual lav mic itself. So we'll give that a try and see how that works. You also have a little adapter here in case you won't need to go from one of the connections here to a USB. You got that, as well as some instructions and a little warranty card. So that is everything that comes in the package here. Really nice that it comes with this case so I can put it all away and I don't have to worry about little pieces going all over the place and not being able to find things. So what does this kit cost? As of the filming of this recording, this kit here in the United States is going to cost about $169, which is in the ballpark of other systems that are similar to this. So with that said, let's jump into testing this guy out, trying it out, and just kind of seeing how well it sounds, both with the lav mic here, as well as using just the internal mic on this thing. All right, so I figured we'd get into testing this guy out. I'm using the lav mic here, and I gotta make some split pea soup here because I need to get some dinner going because we've got so much going on between soccer, all the kids' activities and all that, so I don't have any time to cook. So we're gonna make a little split pea soup here and test out this microphone while we're in the process of making the soup here. So one of the things I really like about this microphone is not only can I just use the lav mic here, but on the receiver end, say I didn't want to use the lav mic, you can just use this as a microphone, and we're going to test that out in a little while here. Right now I'm using the lav itself, and we're just going to kind of see how this works, how it sounds. Are we getting good signals? How does it work out? So let's get into making this soup here. Trusty crock pot recipe book here, you got to use this, right? Grab our ham out of the freezer here, a little ham bone. It's left over from a smoked ham, smoked it in a smoker. Oh man, that came out good. Of course, got to get the split peas, a little onion powder. Nobody in my house likes onions, so we're gonna go with the onion powder instead of actual onions. So I know the recipe says, hey, you just go 1 cup of split peas. I'm just gonna go with the whole bag. A little bit of onion powder in there. Got to chop up some celery here. Drop her in. So we do need to add some carrots here. I'm not gonna shred these by hand, these little baby ones, right? Bust up your fingers, no way. So I think I'm gonna go grab the food processor, just grind it through there and just dump it right in. We should be good to go. I'm trying to get in and drinking a little more tea here. I drink too much coffee, so I'm trying to go with the green tea here. It's not so bad, it's all right. Ain't the same as coffee, but it's all right. You guys drink coffee or tea? That was way better than grinding them up myself, right? Or shredding them up myself. Next up, we're gonna add a little thyme and parsley. Just dump some of that in there. Sometimes I go by exact measurements, but not always, you know? It's all right, it's all good. All right, we got 4 cups of chicken broth we need to add in here, so we're gonna go measure that out. 2, 4. I don't know what you guys use for chicken broth, but I use better than bouillon. This stuff's great. That's it, that's all she wrote. Let's fire it up. All right, here we go. So we're gonna start out just by testing this guy. Let's say I don't wanna wear a lav, I just have this little microphone. Maybe I'm interviewing somebody and I just wanna use the little transmitter here. So I did put on the Dead Cat. It's pretty easy to pop it on there. It has 2 little prongs. It just kind of sits in 2 little slots there. So not too bad. I think it's, you know, a cool little form factor here to use this thing as a microphone. I mean, it can work out good. Like I said, if you're interviewing somebody, you're talking back and forth with somebody, you know, hey, what do you got to say? You know, could work out pretty good. So setting this thing up is pretty easy. On top of my camera here, I just put there's a little clip here on the back of both units. You can just slide that right into your cold shoe and that works out pretty good. Now, when you power on the unit, it's got a nice LED display there. It gives you a bunch of different information, tells you the battery power, both on this unit as well as the unit that's on the camera, both sending and receiving units. So that way you know how much battery life you have left. There's also some LEDs on here, and as long as they light up green, you'll know you're synced up. There's one for being synced up and let you know that they're connected. And then there's another one that's going to tell you when the battery's running low. And when that little light turns red, then you got about 5 minutes of battery life left. Now, they say that you can get about 5 hours of use out of these guys. I haven't used them that long. I probably use them for about an hour at this point, you know, just trying things out, and they seem to be fine. You know, I haven't run out of batteries or anything like that. So some other information that's on the little screen, you can adjust the gain for the mic. So the signal, the amount of input signal that's coming through, you can adjust that. Although I would recommend that you check your camera settings because I found as I was playing with that gain input, it does have a meter on the unit on the camera, and it does tell you where that -12 to -6 dB range is. Although I found that that's not really that accurate, at least when compared to what my camera is telling me. So for me, I trust my camera meter a little bit more as far as what the signal is going to be, you know, on the recording here. So you can use that as a guide a little bit for, you know, the numbers on the unit, but I would recommend that you definitely go by what the dB level is on your meter inside your camera. So that way, you know, you're not peaking out, because if you try to boost this guy way up so that, you know, it says on the receiving unit there that you're getting a good signal, I think you're going to be blowing out your audio, and it's just going to be peaking, and it's not going to sound good. At least that was my experience, right? So on my camera here, I like to leave my audio levels down a little bit, you know, on the lower side, so it doesn't pick up a lot of extra noise and that kind of stuff. So that's one thing to keep in mind. On the receiver unit, the screen also tells you what kind of signal are you getting from here, you know? So if I was to, you know, hide this thing up or hide it behind my back, you know, the signal's going to go down a little bit. So it'll tell you on there if you're still getting a good signal or not. So that's pretty handy to have, especially if you have 2 people filming and somebody's behind the camera and then somebody else is speaking. If you're by yourself, well, man, maybe then it doesn't do such a good job if you got your camera over here and you're just out and about walking around. So now we're just going to head outside. I'm going to try this guy out. And one of the things I do want to try is a distance test to see how far away I can get, you know, using this guy, and see how well that works. So let's go give that a try. All right, so typically if I'm out filming something, I'm gonna, you know, want to have my hands free. But for now, I mean, you know, carrying this thing around if you don't have any other options would work out probably just fine. But it does come with that wireless lav, so that's nice. You would want to use that if you could, right? So let's put this camera down. I'm gonna see a little distance test here, how far away I can get and get this guy to still work. All right, so here we go. I'm going to take a little walk here. We're just going to go back here across the yard, and if I've got the microphone, you know, in front of me, are we losing signal? It should be working out okay because it's a clear shot here now all the way out to the camera from me, nothing in the way. I'm going to go walk on the side of the house in a second here and just see if obstructions, you know, does that affect the quality of the signal coming back to the microphone. So I'm probably getting back around, I don't know, 50 yards, maybe a little bit more away, almost at the end of the yard here, and that's about as far as I can go. So I'm really curious to see how well that does. Now, let's just say that I walk up over this way. I'm going to walk to the side of the house here a little bit, and is that signal getting back to the camera okay, or is it going to get obstructed and really break up and not be able to hear me so well? Because if it's going to be breaking up, you just want to make sure that you keep a clear line of sight to your camera the best that you can. The other thing that I worry about if, you know, the signal breaks up is if I've got it on my pocket here, you know, or in my pocket, are we going to be losing signal, or is it going to stay, you know, picking up the signal and be fine like that? So that's a little distance test using just this guy. I think I might grab the lav mic now and then just try that out and see how that sounds. So now we got the lav mic going here. We're gonna see how this guy sounds. You know, one of the things that is really convenient about this microphone, as I eat bugs, is the form factor, right? It's small, it's easy to handle, it's easy to carry, it's easy to pop in your pocket. Now, I do have the sending unit, the transmitter on my belt over here, so that way, you know, it's got a decent line of sight to the receiving unit up here on the camera. So if I take that, and I'm curious to see myself, if I move it to my back pocket, let's say I put it in my pocket, are we losing signal here? Are we losing audio? I don't know. We're gonna find out when we get back to the computer. You guys know right now, but I don't. So I'm gonna pull this back out, put it back on my pocket, on the outside of my pocket. So I have been testing this out for a little while, and I did notice occasionally, depending on where I put that receiver, if it was in my pocket, I would lose signal, or if there was interference, I would lose a little bit of signal. But for the most part, it's been fine. And that was primarily in my studio, where there's all kinds of, you know, electrical interference that could happen and other things that are down there that maybe were causing some kind of problem. But overall form factor, this thing is awesome, and it's really convenient. The convenience factor, that's huge. So what do you guys think about this lav microphone versus using just the receiver itself and holding it and talking into that? What's the differences there? You know, I'm really curious to see myself, once I get it back into the computer here, what the differences are and how it sounds. I would think that the lav mic would do better, maybe better at isolating. Hopefully all these bugs, I mean, they're making all kinds of racket around here. I don't know if you guys can hear that on there, but hopefully that's not messing up our audio here. So can you hear that? I don't know, I hear it, it's annoying. So once I load all this back up in the computer here in DaVinci Resolve, we're gonna listen to it, see what it sounds like, and go from there. And all these samples that you're hearing are just the raw audio, straight out of the camera, no processing, other than setting our levels and making sure that you guys can hear them good. So, oh my gosh, man, I gotta get out of here. You guys wouldn't believe how many mosquitoes back here, man. The mosquitoes is crazy. Gotta get out of here. It is pretty wet back in here, but man, holy smokes. They're just like swarming me back there. I'm getting out of here, man. This cracks me up. Anybody have any guesses on what all this is in my yard? It's not what you think, I can tell you that much. Any guesses? Leave a comment down below. Curious to see if you guys know what that is. All right, so we're gonna wrap this video up here. Now, a couple thoughts real quick on these microphones. I do think they sound really good. Now, this is an edited version of the audio that you're hearing on the lav mic. I'm gonna change over to the microphone without the lav mic here in a second, because honestly, I think it sounds a little bit better not using the lav, which I'm really surprised by. But this is how I'd edit the audio with the lav mic on. Now let's change over just to holding the unit itself and see how that sounds when I edit the audio. All right, now we're using this as just the microphone, like if we were interviewing somebody, something like that. And I think that this sounds better than using the actual lav mic from all my tests. Now, this is how I would edit the audio here. I did notice that this microphone has a little more high end to it, whereas the lav mic, when you're using that, it sounds a little bit more muffled. Wrapping everything up here, overall, I think that this microphone does a good job. I think it sounds good. I think the quality is good. It's there. It's got a great quality, great form factor, great size, comes with a great case, and a lot of great features about it. But that said, there are some issues with it that I did run across, and that is dropping signal. Now, I found that most of the time when the signal gets dropped, it's because I'm close to the camera and maybe the unit here, the transmitter unit, is kind of covered up. So you might have heard it a little bit in my soup example there. It was kind of cutting out a little bit when the pack was on my side and I was faced away from the camera with the pack, or with the transmitter here, and it was kind of below the counter a little bit. So I noticed there was a little bit of cutting in and out there. And again, in my studio, same kind of situation. I was pretty close to the camera and it was still cutting in and out. So that's a little concerning, but it only seemed to happen at very close range. And if I had the transmitter and it was blocked by something, whether it's a table or maybe there's just some other interference going on. So I would be careful of that, and that's something I would keep an eye on. I would do a couple tests in your area if you're going to be filming close to the camera and the transmitter and the receiver are going to be close to each other. You want to check that out because you want to get through your whole recording and then realize that it didn't work out. But it is always good to have a backup plan or backup audio if you're recording So that way, something does happen, then at least you've got a backup that you can go with and use audio from there. So overall, I think these are good mics. I do think they're worth it. I think that Deity made a great product with these guys, and I think they have a lot to offer if you're looking for a lav mic for this kind of situation. So I want to say thank you again to Deity for sending these out. Let me try them out, share them with you guys, and you guys decide, is this something that you might be interested in or that might work for your situation? So comment below. I want to hear what you guys think. Do you think it's good? Do you think it's not? Do you think it's worth the price? I don't know. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on these microphones. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this one. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.